Greetings Game Watchers, I'm Chris Capel and welcome to the video review of XCOM 2. Now with this review I'm assuming you've played XCOM Enemy Unknown. If not, buy it immediately and get back to us. For everyone else, you may have been on the fence about pre-ordering XCOM 2. Sit on wooden panelling no more. The sequel is superb, at the very least as good as, if not better than, Enemy Unknown. The gameplay is essentially the same, but has been polished, buffed, twisted, bent and poked until it feels like a brand new game. XCOM 2 is a perfect example of how to get a sequel right. In a novel twist, the majority of the events of Enemy Unknown didn't happen. Earth lost the battle against the alien invasion early, the aliens took over Earth and formed the new oppressive Advent government, and XCOM was forced to become an underground resistance movement. After retrieving their beloved commander, the XCOM troops and their mobile headquarters properly rally against Advent. But time is against them, since the countdown to the aliens' ultimate weapon, the Avatar project, has already begun. I think probably what surprised me most about XCOM 2 was how vital the story was to the experience. In Enemy Unknown it was all cute but easily skippable, and here there are twists, surprises and interesting characters. Yes, everyone still fits into a scientist, engineer, captain, etc. role, but each feel like an actual person this time. The little conversations the characters have back at base are a highlight, and the one downside of having such cool and extensive character customization options is that it's sad they don't have more personality. The non-combat side of things has received a significant upgrade, so that it almost feels like a condensed version of Civilization in terms of strategy. While things appear basically the same in your new Shield helicarrier style base, there's been a lot of change. Less you do reef search, dig out holes, build rooms from these holes, fast forward time until something interesting happens. The differences are subtle at first, being able to assign engineers to areas to boost the output, new rooms like the Shadow Chamber, etc. But head onto the Geoscape map and things are wildly different. No more single scan for activity button as it was in 1994's UFO XCOM, with events just popping up and you reacting to them. Now the Earth has been divided up into sectors that need to be scanned separately. This sounds tedious, but for Axis, kindly pinpoint the areas you need to scan and how long they'll take to get supplies, intel or other bonuses. You can only scan one area at a time, so if you spend 4 days scanning Mexico to get supplies, the scan counter won't decrease on the intel counter in Spain. It does all get a little frustrating, as you can guarantee you will never complete a scan without something interrupting it, like an Advent attack, but it's so wonderfully strategic with so much to think about that it's never boring. The turn-based combat itself remains largely unchanged, except for the addition of concealment that alters the entire flow and really changes the game into a more satisfying sequel. With XCOM now operating in the shadows, stealth is now more of a focus, and your squad won't automatically be detected when they spot enemy troops. Concealment allows the player to move their soldiers into a decent ambush position and then annihilate the first group of aliens they attack. But after that point their cover's blown and it's back to turn-based business as usual. Having concealment totally changes the most crucial part of XCOM combat, the start. The thing that impresses me most about XCOM 2 is the sheer variety of missions. Possibly the biggest criticism of Enemy Unknown was that eventually the regular missions would start to repeat. Firaxis has faced this head on. For starters, every level is randomised. This alone ensures a limitless supply of replay value, and each unique level still feels as polished as a designed one. Then on top of that, the game keeps on bringing in new mission types. Protecting civilians, escorting a VIP, capturing a VIP, recovering supplies, hacking computers, blowing up computers, rescuing prisoners, destroying key buildings, levels without concealment, levels with reinforcements. This is just a small selection of the mission types offered. There is an infinite amount of excellent, varied gameplay here, all of which would be for naught if Advent wasn't fun to fight against, but fortunately that's not the case. The unit types have all had a massive overhaul, so even familiar enemies like the sectoids and mutons behave differently. Classic XCOM baddies, the Snake Men, have been reintroduced in both male and female varieties, and even basic Advent troopers have different variations that can be a real threat. It's a joyously terrifying moment whenever a new seemingly overpowered enemy appears and you have to take them down with just your wits. The enemy AI has had even more of a revamp, and even on normal difficulty one ill-advised move will see it smack you down with no mercy. This is part of the reason why you need to have played Enemy Unknown first, as Firaxis seem to take into account that everyone playing wants a tougher challenge. Fortunately, the AI isn't insurmountable, as units, powers and the gameplay systems in place create weaknesses or mistakes that is up to you to exploit. So I've gushed enough about XCOM 2, was there anything I disliked? A few points, but fortunately nothing to spoil the game. I mentioned about the geoscape, where it's annoying to be constantly bombarded with distractions when all you really want to do is finish gathering supplies. Another slight disappointment is the UI, which hasn't changed much from Enemy Unknown, where it was built for use on consoles as well as PC. The camera controls in particular are a bit fiddly, and the game's still not clear about whether you can hit an enemy from a certain spot or not. Finally, there are some suspicious dice rolls where the game seems desperate to hang on to a unit where even reloading an earlier save breeds exactly the same result. I've missed shots with a 97% hit chance where I would have finished off a key important unit too early. Disappointingly, the multiplayer is exactly the same as Enemy Unknown. Choose a squad including aliens based on point limit, and then face an opponent who's done the same. It's still fun, and it's good that Firaxis have incorporated their excellent level generator, but seriously, no co-op, no more than 1v1. It's a hugely unambitious mode in an otherwise ambitious game. XCOM 2 is everything a sequel should be, keeping the things that everyone loved about the first game while changing things up as much as possible. Turning XCOM into a scrappy resistance force alters the sequel considerably, not necessarily for the better, but certainly for an equally interesting and different campaign. The enemy forces and AI have been altered considerably, making for a hugely nerve-wracking and yet satisfying time. And the sheer variety in missions is superb. The base management is mostly the same with a few cute additions, but the geoscape is now a whole strategy game unto itself, which can get frustrating, but a little complexity is welcome. XCOM 2 has a few fiddly moments and the multiplayer is once again a bit tacked on, but we can't imagine anyone picking it up and actually disliking it. That all said, we gave XCOM 2 a wonderful score of 9.0. Thanks for watching, puny humans. Chris Capel and GameWatcher, out!
Menace 1-5, status confirmed. X4 charges detonating.
Thanks for watching again, guys. If you enjoyed the review, you can help us out by subscribing to our YouTube channel, checking out our Twitter feed, and of course visiting GameWatcher.com for all your PC gaming needs.
High hopes for the Resistance under your leadership, Commander, and you have outdone yourself.